Hey, Miss Gideon here. I'm going to do your Unit 3 test review. No, it's a long video, but remember you can have this open while you're taking your test. You have two screens open. If you need help doing that, let me know. Otherwise, here we go. So I want you to remember the rules when we're multiplying and dividing rational numbers. If you multiply or divide, rational numbers can be fractions, decimals. If you multiply a positive by a positive, your answer is always going to be a positive. So I'm not sure if you need numbers or not, but like if I have 3 times a 3, the answer would be a positive 9. If I have a negative and I'm multiplying by another negative rational number, fraction, decimal, whatever it is, my answer is also going to be positive again. So in other words, if it's the same sign, it's going to be positive. So if I had a negative 3 times a negative 3, it's going to be a positive 9. And then if you have multiplying by a positive and then a negative, or vice versa, a negative and a positive number, these will always be negative answers. So if I have a 3 times a negative 2, I'm going to have a negative 6. If I have a negative 3 times a positive 2, I'm also going to have a negative 6. So hopefully those rules help you out when you're taking this. You can use this during your test as well as any notes. So next one, it says multiply 52 times a negative 11. So setting up my problem, I would take my 52 and I would put my times 11 underneath. Beginning with this one right here, I go 1 times 2, that's 2. Then 1 times 5, which is 5. Now I'm going to go to the column with the green 1 that I just circled, but I need a place value holder here, so I put a 0. So 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. Once I get all the multiplication done, I add 2 plus 0 is 2, 5 plus 2 is 7, and 5 plus nothing is 5. So when you're doing this, this is an example of how you're going to do it on your test. Different numbers, same idea. So this, I really have a negative 2 3/5 times 4. We did this today in live lesson on the 27th. So remember, when we multiply or divide mixed numbers, we have to make them improper fractions. So I'm going to do the denominator times the whole number, and I'm just going to put that negative out front for right now. So 5 times 2 is 10. Then I add my numerator of 3. That gives me 13. That's my new numerator, and I always keep the same denominator. And then I multiply it, and I want to make 4 a fraction. And remember, if you have a whole number like 4, you make it a fraction by putting it 4 over 1. Then I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to take my negative times my positive. I know my answer is going to be negative. So I've got 13 times 4. On the side here, I'll do 13 times 4. 4 times 3 is 2. 4 times 3 is 12. Carry the 1. 4 times 1, and then add the 1 is 5. So this is 52. And then 5 times 1 is 5. Finishing this out, we now have to make the improper fraction back into a mixed number. So I'm going to put the numerator 52 inside the division box. That's the dividend, and then the divisor of 5. 5 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract, I get 0. And I bring down the next, and I get a 2. 5 cannot go into 2, so that's a 0 times. Now here I have a remainder of 2. I can leave it there, or I can go ahead and put my decimal here, whichever is more comfortable for you. So I'm going to add a decimal here and bring down a 0, because then I know that 5 goes into 20 4 times. So that's 20 giving 0. So my answer is 10 4/10. Or reducing the 4/10, dividing both top and bottom by 2, I get 10 2/5. So I guess I could have did that with if I had the remainder of 2 without adding this, like we were doing. We could say that it's 10 is your whole number, remainder of 2, and 5. So either way you do it, it works. Pause this while you're taking your test, do your work, come back to it if you need it. So here's a word problem that is going to be similar to the one you have on your test. A used car lot has 3/5 of the cars colored blue. 1/2 are electronically powered. What fractions on the lot are both blue and electronically powered. So the car lot has 3/5 of the cars, and they're blue. And then here's a of. That's going to give me a key that I'm going to multiply those two. Of and then 1/2. So now I'm just going to multiply straight across. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 times 2 is 10. This doesn't reduce, so 3/10 are both blue and electric. I'm going to abbreviate that. Okay. Again, similar to what you'll see in the test. Another question you might see similar to this. Lake Erie has the depth of 70 yards. This is made up. I don't know it. I just made up some numbers today. Lake Hartwell is 4/7 as deep. What is the elevation at the bottom of Lake Hartwell? So things I need to remember, it's going to be below sea level, so my answer is going to be negative. So all I'm doing here is you're setting up your 70 yards and you're multiplying it by your 4/7. So I can make my 70 into a fraction to make it easier to multiply. So remember 70 over 1. And you can multiply straight across, or you can do canceling. I'm going to do it both ways. Multiplying straight across, I get 70 times 4, 0, which is 28. So 280 over 7. And then I have to go ahead and do the division. 280 is my dividend. Divisor is 7. 7 goes into 2. Nope, 28. 4 times. I lost my train of thought. See, even math teachers forget their math facts. And then 0, and then bring down the 0. 7 goes in 0. So that's 40. So we get 40, and it's going to be a negative because it's below sea level. So negative 40 yards. If I did canceling, I just want to show you what it looks like because some of you understand this. So I know that 7 is a factor of 7 and 70, so this would be 10, this would be 1. So you would get 40 over 1, which is 40. And again, because it's below sea level, we're going to add our negative because we're going to relate it to the problem. So either way, you get the same answer. Do whichever way fits you. Do you. Okay. Next one, divide negative 84 by negative 4, then divide the quotient by negative 3. The quotient is the answer, so you got to get this answer first. So let's do negative 84 divided by negative 4. And what are our rules? Two negatives make a positive. So I'm just going to take those negatives away because my answer is going to be positive. So 4 goes into 8 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Do my subtraction. 0, bring down my 4. 4 goes into 1 1 time. 1 times 4 is 4. And do my subtraction at 0. So I get a positive 21. And then it says divide that by a negative 3. A negative 3. So a negative and a positive, my answer is going to be negative. So remember, opposite, I'm always going to have negative. So negative 3 goes into a positive 21. Positive, hang on, I don't think that came out right. It's going to be a negative 7, sorry, because it's negative and positive. I got confused when I put that negative up there. So a negative 7. So this is a positive 21 given 0. So your answer here is a negative 7. So watch your positive and negatives. Another way to look at it is negative 3 divided by, oh, I'm messing you up, sorry. Trying to go too fast. 21 divided by negative 3 would be a negative 7 because it's a positive and a negative. Okay. Now, what is the quotient of 400 divided by negative 10 divided by 5? Remember order of operations. In this case, it's pretty simple. All we have is division, so we have to go in the order that it appears. So 400 divided by a negative 10. My answer is going to be negative. So 10 goes into 40 4 times. And I'm going to kind of like get rid of that negative for a minute and show you the answer part. So 4 times, subtract, I get 0. I bring down the 0. Negative 10 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times negative 10 is 0. So when I get a 400 divided by a negative 10, this gives me a negative 40. Because opposite signs, I'm going to have a negative in my answer, negative 40. All right, now I'm going to bring down the rest of my problem, divided by 5, a positive 5. So I've got a negative 40 and a positive 5. My answer is going to be negative. And I already know this fact, so I'm not going to do the division box. 40 divided by 5 is 8, so it's a negative 8. So just make sure you're taking your steps, writing stuff on paper and pencil. All right, next one, 96 divided by 0.3 hundredths. All right, 96 goes in the division box. 0.03 is outside, and we did this in today's live lessons, the 27th as well, if you need more practice. We want to divide by a whole number. That means the decimal has to be behind the last digit. So it's right here, so I got to move it 2 places. That gives me there, but whatever I do to the dividend, I've got to do inside of the divisor. I've got 96, and I know that there's the decimal at the end, so I need to move it 2 places. So I'm going to go 1, 2, put my decimal, extend my division box, and I need placeholders in these loops that I just extended. So now I'm going to rewrite the problem. 3 divided by 3 goes into 9600, and I might put my decimal there just for safekeeping. So 3 times what gives me 9? 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 0. Bring down my 6. 3 times what gives me 6? 2. Without going over, 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract 0. Bring down the next 0, and that is a 0. Bring down the next 0, and that is a 0. So because these placeholders, your answer changes. So because I had to do 2 placeholders to the right up here, I'm adding 2 zeros to my answer. So 96 divided by 3 hundredths is actually 3,200. All right. Convert 2 and 25 hundredths to a fraction. Remember your place value. On the Padlet, there's a sheet, a graphic organizer for place value. You can print it or have it open. But the second place value is the hundredth. So I would write the 2 as a whole number, 25, and then I'd use the hundredth place. So then I have to reduce the 2500 over 100. And if I remember my money, I know quarters, there are 4 quarters in a dollar, so I can actually divide top and bottom by 25. So I get 25 divided by 25 is 1. 100 divided by 25, there's 4 quarters. So my final answer is 2 1/4. They want you to simplify, so I wanted to show you one simplifying. All right, next, you're going to see long division to convert 4 5/8 to a decimal. So it's a decimal. 4 is going to be my whole number, and I'm going to put my decimal there. And then over here on the side, I'm going to do my workspace. 5 divided by 8. And I'm only going to go to the 100th place. I'm seeing what I did here. Okay. I'm only going to go to the 100th place if I have to. So we'll say the 100th. We're going to round to the 100th. I'm not sure how long this is going to take. So 8 goes into 5. It doesn't. So I have to put a decimal and add a 0. Notice I didn't move it to start because my decimal on the 8 is already on the right side where it needs to be. So that's just a side note. That was free. All right, so 8 goes into 50 6 times. 6 times 8 is 48. And I subtract. Borrow 1 from the 5, giving me 10 minus 8, which is 2. I want to add another 0. Okay, so my decimal's right here. Okay, so I want to add another 0. 0. 8 goes into 22 times, which is 16. Subtract. Borrow again from the 2, making that 10. 10 take away 6 is 4. I'm going to add another 0 because I'm rounding to the 100th place if I have to. So 8 goes into 45 times. So I could write this decimal like this, but if I'm asked to round to the nearest 100th place, which is the second one, I look at the 5. The 5 number is greater, 5 or greater, so that means I'm going to round this up. So 4 and 63 hundredths would be my final answer if I'm rounding. Hope this is helping, guys. All right, word problem. You're going to see something like this. So a plane decreases by 2,000 feet to avoid turbulence, right? It takes the pilot 1.3 minutes to make the adjustment. Now this is wording. I don't want you to be scared of these words. It says interpret the quotient to describe the plane's altitude. So in other words, you have to find the quotient first. All right, so 2,000. And we'll talk about the negative and positive in just a moment. 1.3. I need to move my decimal 1 places because I want it to be here. And then if I move it one place, I have to move it one place inside as well. So now I have 20,000 in here. So first I have to do the division. So 13 goes into 20 one time. 7 left over. Bring down the 0. 13 will go into 70 without going over. I don't know this off the top of my head, so I'm just going to do some examples. Let's see if 6 works. That's 18, 1, 6, that's 78. That's too big. 13 times 5. 15, 1, 5, 6, 65. So that would be 5 times, which is 65. 70 take away 65 is 5. Bring down my next 0. All right, so now I got to figure out how many times 13 will go into 50 without going over. Let me try 4. That's 12, that's 4, that's 52. So it's going to have to be 13 times 3. And again, these are things I have to do on paper because I can't do it in my head. 9 and 39. So let's put a 3 here. 39. Subtract. We have to borrow 1 from the 5. 10 take away 9 is 1. 4 take away 3 is 1. So that's 11. Then I've got another 0 to bring down. Okay. So I've got to figure out how many times 13 will go into 110 without going over. Let me try 7. 7 times 3 is 1, is 21, 2, 7, 8, 9. Probably 7, but I'm going to try 8 just to be sure because that's the way I am. 24, 8, 9, 10. Oops, so I'm glad I did that. So it's going to be 8. 8 is 104. I subtract and I get 6. So I have to add another 0 and bring it down. And I could keep going, but I'm just going to do this one more time for time's sake because you guys, I think yours rounds to a whole number. So anyway, 13 goes into 60. Let's see, that was 4 times. So 52. So 60 minus 52 is 8. I lost my so that I'm going to just stop there because your problem is going to give you a whole number. So it's asking you to interpret the quotient. So the quotient, because it's decreasing and it takes him that long to do it, this is really a division, a negative, because it's going down. It's decelerating. It's going down. It's decreasing. So the lower it gets. So my answer, because I've got a positive and I've got a negative, is going to be a negative answer. So I'm going to have negative 15. I'm going to just round to the nearest whole number here. So your answer is a whole number, so just watch that negative when you're doing yours. Almost done. We're getting there. There are a lot of word problems here, so I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. So a pool has 800 gallons of water. If a pool removes 150 gallons in every 5 minutes, what is the change in 1 minute? All right, so I think you guys got like a 250 here and a 5 or something. So use whatever that number is. I think it's a 250. I don't want to give you the answer. So I'm going to do 150 and I'm going to divide it by 5 because I want to know the rate per minute. So 5 goes into 15, 3, which is 15, 0, bring down the 0. So 30 times. So what is the change in a minute? So that's 30. So that's important. Now, if you're watching this video, you're going to get this answer right, I believe. You want to look for a 15. And so what is the change in 1 minute? It would be a negative. Is it a negative 50 or negative 15? Hang on. I'm going to look that answer up for you because I just said I would. So give me 1 second to get that. I know you can wait for this while you're figuring this out. I just want to make sure I give you the right information. I think you deserve it if you're watching this video because it's long, and I know it's long, but I'm so glad that you're watching it. So you get a free answer. I'm pulling it up right now so I can tell you. The answer correctly. I want to make sure I tell you right. So this is for unit test number 3. So it's unit 3, lesson 14. And this is what it is. I'm pulling it up. Give me a second. So the pool one, you actually have like, I think, a fish tank. So let me find that one. Pilot, a fire engine. Okay. This is actually like a fire engine's water tank. So you guys, here's your answer for this one, because you're really doing that division, and we didn't really go over proportions, and this is what I think it is. So I'm giving you a free answer. So if you watch this video, you're going to do -50. That's your answer. Because you're taking 250, you're dividing it by 5 and whatnot. So that's going to give you, that's going to figure it out for you. So 250 divided by 5, it gives you the 50, and because it's a decrease, it's a negative. So I just gave you an answer. All right, moving on. Use the properties of operations for multiplying and dividing to solve. I've did several of these on the lesson introduction pages, but remember, I've only got multiplication and division, so I do them in the order that they appear if I were actually reading this problem from left to right. So -2 times 2/5, and do that first, and I get -4/5. Okay. Then I've got -4/5. I'm just going to bring the -1/2 down, and my divided by 2/12 down. Okay. So now I got to do this next part. -4/5. A negative times a negative is going to be a positive. So I get 4 over 10. 4 times 1, 5 times 2 is 10. Divided by 2/12. If you remember our steps, keep, change, flip. 4/10 stays the same. Change the division to multiplication and flip your next fraction. So we get 48 over 20. I know that I can reduce these, so let's divide them both by, and I think 4 goes into both of them. So 4 goes into 48 12 times, and 4 goes into 25 times. So 12/5. If I needed to have a mixed number, 12 goes in 1 time. So it would be 1 2/5. So take your time when you're doing yours. Make sure you're writing your steps. All right, so this particular problem, I want to move it over just a little bit if I can. All right, so a toy submarine is -8.7 meters. Every 2 minutes, it descends another 2.3 meters. How long will it take the submarine to reach? And I didn't finish my problem. So guys, because I'm so proud of you for watching this video, I'm going to help you again. Okay? I'm going to set you up, okay? Let me make sure I give you the right one. Let's see, summer is 87. All right, this is like the word problem, okay? So what you first want to do is you're going to take, I did this like here. You take whatever they have, the -8.7 minus your 2.3, which really turns, negative turns to plus. This turns to positive, which gives you a negative, oh, it doesn't. -8.7, 2.3 subtract, you get 4.6, -6.4. So I did that -6.4, -6.4. So you get that by subtracting the 37.8 and the 10. I'll set you up in just a second. And then you divide in this problem by -2/3. Okay, dividing by -2/3, you can go ahead and do the decimal, but I'm going to set you up with the problem on the board, okay? So you're going to take your -37, this is your word problem, number 15, and you're going to minus the -10.8 first. That's your first step. So step 1. Step 2, you're going to get an answer. I'm going to put a box in here. So you're going to take that answer, and you're going to divide that answer by a -1.5. You're going to get another answer. And then your third step, so there's 3 steps, so I'm helping you out. Step 3 is you take, let's make that a red triangle instead of a, we'll make it a different shape so we know we're talking about 2 different numbers. You take that and you multiply that by 2. And that will give you your final answer. So I've given you the steps. If you do this, then I know you watched the video. So good luck. Let me know if you have questions. Guys, I'm proud of you. I know this is a tough unit, so thanks for hanging in with me. Have a great day.